Hello, everyone, and welcome to Discover Rising Tides, How the Outside Makes the Inside Better. And I am here. I am Jeanne Gallagher, and I am also here, but I am also here with Denise Stegall, our longevity concierge. And our topic that we're going to delve into is midlife isn't a crisis, it's a catalyst. Ooh.
It is a catalyst. Woohoo! Yes, it is. Hi, Jeanne.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. So I wanted to talk about this today with you because
We might get heated in this one.
we might not this way, just emotionally.
Yeah.
I had seen a couple of photos of people that I know and haven't seen in quite some time. And I was actually quite shocked because now there were actually two photos, 8 people. And when I looked at them, my heart sank
Mm.
because each one of them is either extremely overweight or obese. Now, this would be according to BMI, which of
Mhm.
course, is it's a number,
Right.
it's not perfect. But when I looked at these women, they looked so much older than they are. And you could just tell by the look in their eye, just taking a photo, with
Mhm.
friends, that they weren't happy. They weren't Now they weren't joyous. Maybe they were happy at the moment, but you could just tell that there was sadness
There
in
was an
their.
underlying uncomfortableness.
Yes.
Mhm.
And what I really believe, and this is why I think midlife is truly a catalyst. I think many of us are stuck in this idea that midlife, menopause, this time, this stage, give it a name, right? Is kind of a negative thing. It's
Mhm.
kind of the beginning of the end. And in my opinion, it really is kind of a jumping off point to this next phase in life, right? Which for many of us is postmenopause. Or post midlife. Right now, we're in midlife. If you're 40 to 65, this is midlife, everybody. If you're beyond that, you're in a little bit of a different phase, right? And that next phase can be, and you're the perfect example of this, that next phase is going to, or this phase, this midlife is going to dictate how that next phase, post midlife, is
Mhm.
going to be. And so you're an incredible poster woman for us today because you're vibrant and energetic, you're athletic. I mean, you do all of the things that you've been doing your whole life, if not
Mhm.
more.
Mhm. I think I'm stronger now than I was before, but that's not easy.
No, many things in life that are important are not easy.
As I used to tell my kids when they were little, nothing worthwhile is easy.
It can be simple, right? We can
Yeah.
make simple steps. We can create goals, simple goals, right? But we do need to make sure that we talked about this before, it doesn't necessarily have to be hard, but it has to be consistent. We
Consistent.
have to
And the
be
consistency
consistent.
is hard. But we also have to think, you hear about this not just in your health, but you hear about this in everything. You have to think with the end in mind. Not that we're looking for an end, but for me, it is what am I going to be like in another 20 or 30 years, maybe? And what that's going to look like is 100% determined on what I'm doing today. And a lot of people say, well, the body will do what the body will do. Right? Yeah. And or the other thought process is, I don't want to have to do this all the time. I don't want to have to be committed. Well, you don't have to be, but think with the end in mind. And what do you want to be able to do in 20 years? Like
What I
get
think,
up
what
off
you're
the
saying,
floor.
one of the things that, as you're talking, one of the things that pops into mind is reframing aging, like the word
Mm,
aging. We're all aging. Let's be real. I mean, from the day you're born, you're aging, until the day we die. That's the only time.
mhm,
That's when we stop aging. I'm not looking forward to that day, right? I'm in this phase where I got lots to do. But, we have in our heads as we're getting older, slow down. The body wants us, like you said, the body will do what it will do. The body will do what you ask it to do.
Right.
Now, if you haven't run around the block in 10 years, you're certainly not going to run a marathon tomorrow,
Mhm.
right? And not that I would recommend that because it's a lot of practice and a lot of training, but just for this example. But if you do consistently train, right, the correct amount, eat the right foods, get enough sleep, then yes, your body can at some point run that marathon.
Sure. This is a big weekend. You said running marathons, but this is a big weekend in Auburn. This was a big weekend in Auburn because they did the canyon runs, and the canyon runs, trail runs, and there's a 100-miler, 100K, which is 62 miles, a 50K, which is 31-ish, and then a 25K. And I went down there yesterday. It was really totally cold and rainy day, and I went down just to watch a smidge of the people coming in. I had a friend that was running, and I missed her. I was kind of sad. But when I was there, this 70-year-old came across the line, and she just completed the 50K, the 31-mile trail run, and it's a nothing nothing to sneeze at. It's a tough one, but 70 years old. Yeah.
And it's a commitment. It's not just a
Right.
commitment to the training. It's a commitment to yourself.
Hmm.
Now, this lady is 70 years old. She didn't just decide in this last year that
Mm-mm.
she was going to get strong and she was going to be able to do it. This is something that obviously she's been doing for a long time. Again, it's consistency. And
Hmm.
yeah, as we get older, and there's so many things, so many, I hate the word symptoms, but symptoms of menopause that we don't even know is actually menopause until we start really delving into it. So when I say catalyst, not crisis, this is where where these symptoms come in. People say, oh, I have achy joints, I'm tired all the time, my energy. Yes, I get it. But these are really invitations for you to evolve, to see, to do some research
Hmm.
going on in your body. Why in the last 5 years, or 3 years, are you not sleeping as well? Why all of a sudden do you have some joint pain? Though there's no degenerative disease, right? But there's joint pain. That actually is due to declining estrogen. Yes, I know, right? Who knew? But again, if we're not paying attention, we hear these symptoms. Oh, my knees are really achy. I can't run, or I can't do lunges, or I can't do squats. Um, you can, your body will allow you. Now, yes, you may need to alter them a bit. I mean, I
Hmm.
can't do a deep lunge the way I used to. I mean, I could if I really put more effort into it, but as a runner, that's not really where I want to put my effort, right? So yes, sometimes you have to kind of pick and choose, right?
But could also those uncomfortable joints could also be a process of the lack of muscle around the joints holding the bones apart. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. And yes, you're right. It could be menopause, but all of that. But what else is happening in our structure? Are we using these points as reasons or excuses for not working through something that's uncomfortable? There's a difference between working through something that's uncomfortable and working through pain. There's a huge difference, and you need to know the differences, and you need to figure that out for your own self and what that really looks like. But building muscle around those bones might actually help some of that.
One of the things that I've realized too, and I didn't actually, I'm trying to think when I met my friend Tracy, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. She is a body alignment coach.
Mm.
Now, when you think about that, what does that even mean? What she teaches is the pain and discomfort that we may be in is because our body is not in alignment. Now, yes, if you go to
Mhm.
your chiropractor, they'll, get your spine in line. And my chiropractor's phrase is, get your spine in line so it'll get off your nerves or something like that. But it's true. But, if your skeleton is slightly off, that's one
Mhm.
thing. But also muscular differences. Like
Mhm.
most of us are, you know, have our, like I'm right-handed, so I'm stronger on my right side than I am on my left side. You know I can turn to my whole body like to the right very easily. When I go to turn my body to the left, there's some restriction there. Now that could be pain, it's not, but it's restriction. Why is there restriction? Because my body is asymmetrical.
Mhm.
Once
Mhm.
we get our body symmetrical, guess what? Then pain and discomfort goes away. But if we just say, oh, it's just, you know, I'm just aging, and you kind of throw your hands up in the air, like I have, if you are not watching, I've just done that 3 times. We just throw our hands up in the air and say, oh, it's just part of aging. How well are you going to age in the next 20, 30 years?
And the quality of life.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
One of the other things I think that's really important to mention here is, you know, we talked about the signals, but also this is something that I think is really important is we go beyond, if we look beyond like the to-do lists. Oh well, you know, I've got to do this, what are you making a priority? Right? Are you making cleaning the house a priority, or, you know, going out to exercise a priority? Yeah, the house needs to get clean, we know that. But what is the priority? And I think that's really an important piece here is, at this stage in life, we can make ourselves the priority.
Mhm. And there's something that happens mentally too. That's
Mhm.
also very important. So if you're the function that you're doing, and if you're doing it outside, that's you're getting the benefits of your body moving, but you're also getting the benefits of the fresh air, but also the environment that you're in, and cleaning your thought process out, and just allowing the outdoors to come inside makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. I mean, we spend way too much time inside ourselves, inside our own brain,
Mhm.
and inside our homes, our cars, and our workplaces. So yes, this is the perfect time for us to enjoy freedom,
Mhm.
and, you know, freedom of thought, freedom of emotion, freedom of body, and freedom to go out and play.
Mhm.
So I guess my thought, my closing thought here is this chapter in life isn't about survival. It's not about getting through it. It really is about more about an awakening, who you are. Yes, dealing with some of the things that you are experiencing, but awakening parts of you that have been dormant for maybe your whole life, maybe since, you know, you had the kids. But this is a great opportunity for you to, you know, choose the life and live the life that you've always wanted to live.
Great. Thanks, Denise. And we're going to delve into this a little bit more as well. So stay tuned for those conversations. And remember, midlife isn't a crisis, it's a catalyst. Hello, everyone. This is Jeanne Gallagher, Discover Rising Tides, and I want to just take a moment to talk about my friend, Denise Stegall. I am honored to call her as a friend, and I'm so grateful that she gives us her insight during our shows, each show, and talks about healthy living, eating real food. You hear Denise say, eat real food a lot. Well, she means it, and she knows what she's talking about. She is an amazing healthy living coach, curator at Living Healthy List. And if you ever have any questions about what is real food, why does it matter, how does that apply to me, how do I change, what do I need to do, how do I even create a healthy living shopping list, make sure that you call her. She is your healthy living coach, and you can find her at healthylivinglist.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Discover Rising Tides, How the Outside Makes the Inside Better. My name is Jeanne Gallagher, and I'm here with Tara Hayes as our guest today. Hey, Tara, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you so much for being here. I'm looking forward to our conversation. And before we get started, Tara, can you give us a little bit about your background, and then we'll dive in?
Absolutely. So, I am an author and a publisher, and my books are about my experience with anxiety, and how I got into author and publishing is not the way I expected. So, I was at a low point in my life about 5 or 6 years ago. I believe it was 2019. And
Mhm.
I had just gotten laid off from my second full-time accounting job. So it's within a 10-month period. And I was experiencing a lot of anxiety. I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself. And it was right before COVID. And I came across a self-publishing course on YouTube, and I think the ad was just, I think it was the universe telling me that I needed a change. I needed to do something else. So when I saw it, originally I said, "Oh, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna make money online." I was thinking, and I didn't know what I wanted to write about at first. So I narrowed it down. When I got into the program, they suggested you write fiction, fantasy, and all the big themes that people like to read, but I didn't feel quite aligned with those. So I said, I'm going to write about what I want to write about. I'm going to share my story with anxiety. And that was back in 2019 when I published my first book. And then from that point, I started doing some anxiety coaching. And then I had a bad experience with my own therapist. My therapist said, "Oh, you're not qualified to do any of that." So I said, "Well, she's not going to stop my entrepreneurial journey completely. Since I'm self published, I can help other people begin self publishing their books." And I started Tarafied Publishing in December 2021. And I've been on this journey ever since. At first, I was just trying to help anyone with anxiety who wanted to share their story. But since I have began honing in on who I really wanted to work with, and I've changed it to business owners who have a story, specifically the wellness space, the coaches and the therapists, because I know they have a story of trauma to transformation, and those are stories that I really align with and resonate with.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack. But first of all, I want to just recognize or um, really recognize the fact that you work through your own anxiety after your job transitions or your forced job transitions, and how hard that must have been.
Yes, it was very, very hard. At the time, I, yeah, I really was lost. I really
Mm,
didn't want to go into another full-time accounting job just to get fired from. And I wanted to create something that I couldn't get fired from. So that was a reason why I began Terrified Publishing too. And with just the anxiety, I believe that my anxiety didn't really start to minimize until I found purpose, until I
mm,
found what I wanted to do with myself. Because when you're experiencing anxiety, a lot of it has to do with low self-esteem, I believe, and a lot of it has to
mm,
do with no direction. So when you're just spinning, and when I was going to work every day, and then I was unfulfilled. So I was
mhm.
unfulfilled, and I would go to work, and then I would come home, and then I would lay around on the couch, watch TV. I had no purpose. It was like Groundhog Day. It was like, oh, just going to work, and then and then not doing what Tara wanted to do. So I believe that having a mission, having a goal, developing those goals, actually expanding my creativity, I believe those are parts of the reasons why my anxiety has minimized. And not saying that I don't still have it. For
Mhm.
example, I if you would have asked me about 5 or 10 years ago if I would have been doing podcasts or speaking, I would be like, you're crazy. So I'm facing my fears, and not saying that anxiety isn't still there. It is, but it's transformed to a part where it's like my superpower now, and I became friends with it, and it doesn't hold me back or stop me the way it used to.
Oh, I love that. Your superpower.
Right.
And that's interesting the way you put that. You became friends with it versus forcing and fighting with it. You learned how to work within that and actually make you stronger.
Exactly. For years, I was fighting it, and I was upset with myself, like, why do you have this anxiety, why can't you be like everyone
Mhm,
else? And I saw it as a weakness, but it's really not. It is a strength, because if I didn't have it, I most likely would never develop this business,
mhm.
and I would not have a story to tell. So it gave me a story to tell, it gave me a reason, it gave me a purpose, and I just had to shift my mindset about it. It wasn't something that was a burden to me. It became something that I could use to help empower myself and empower others.
Empowering was the word that was coming to me as you were explaining that as well, because that does give you that force to overcome for anybody, whether there's anxiety involved or not, especially without going from an employee to an entrepreneur is not easy.
It's not at all.
I would
It's
think that that would bring on more anxiety than anything else. It's easier to get a job
and work for
Yeah,
somebody else and not confront or not really try to learn how to better yourself within the tools that you have.
exactly. And it is scary, like to go from the employee to entrepreneur mindset, it's not easy. Not only that, like it's the mindset, it's yeah, I'm doing this by myself. I have to make income to make a
Mhm.
living. So just getting that mindset and not depending on a full-time job, to cover expenses. So it's a big transition and it is anxiety inducing, but it's just the belief in yourself and the courage and to keep going and knowing that you can do it. Like I know most people, we're all trained that we have to work for someone and build their dream,
Mhm.
but we can build our own dreams. It's just a mindset shift and believing in what we can do and just putting ourselves out there and getting a supportive network of other like-minded entrepreneurs, and it's possible.
You're right. It is. We are taught to be followers and employees. Unfortunately, we're not taught. I can't remember what the statistic is, but the gist of it is like 100 years ago, 95% of us were entrepreneurs and business owners, and 5% were employees. And now it's just the opposite. Those are not the right percentages, but it's the concept that's right, because most people are employees versus business owners and entrepreneurs, because that is what our culture is teaching us to do. So I commend you for thinking outside of the box. And I love what you said. You wanted to create something that you can't be fired from.
Right. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
No, it's true. It doesn't mean it's easy, but
Hmm.
it is, you are your own boss. And that is not for weenies.
Right. If it was for weenies, all the weenies would be doing
That is the
it.
truth. That is the truth. And what made you want to be an author?
So what made me want to be an author? That's a great question. I originally, I was always good at writing.
Hmm.
So even as a child, I was good at writing and I kind of ran away from it. And not only was I good at writing, I was good at art too. Like when I was I
Mm.
guess when I was say like in third grade, I wanted to be an artist, but then I was like, well, you can't make money as an artist. So it kind of came back full circle when I became an author. It's like, well, it's something I've always been good at. Now I had the chance to do it when I saw the self-publishing. I said, oh, I don't have to do traditional, I can do it myself. So it kind of just happened that way. It's something that I've always been good at writing, and then I just couldn't run from it anymore. I would say how to put it because it was like something, a skill I always had, and now I'm
Hmm.
putting this skill to the test and putting it in action. And also, and a lot of people don't realize that writing a book is an art. So I'm getting my
Hmm.
art fix through books. There's a
Through books.
creativity part with writing, there's a creativity part of having to design the cover. So I'm getting that artist, the artist, the young Tara artist, I'm getting that fixed through being an author. So
What was it like to actually start writing about the piece of you that was so hard for you to be dealing with?
so it was hard, honestly. It wasn't easy for me, especially I knew that I was going to be sharing it with other people. So I was
Mm.
sat down and I wrote out everything I can remember from my childhood, from adulthood to adolescence, all the anxieties that I could remember that I had, stage fright, social anxiety. I don't know, you probably don't know what this is, agoraphobia. That means fear of the marketplace. So I would used to go outside and just be afraid, anxious in big spaces. So I just sat down
Hmm.
and wrote down everything that I remembered that I had fear about. And after I did that, to actually put it out into the world, publish it, that gave me anxiety because I had the fear of
Oh,
judgment.
sure.
Yeah, the fear of
Hmm.
people not understanding, the fear of, oh, this shy introvert, now all of a sudden she just wants to start sharing her story. So the process, it wasn't
It's very
easy.
vulnerable too.
Hmm.
You're exposing your inner workings and your inner conflicts,
Hmm.
and expecting other people to read, but then wondering what kind of judgment is going to be coming to you, I would imagine, right?
Right, right. I did wonder that. And then it took me, after I published my book, it took me about a few months to tell anyone that I wrote it because I had that fear.
Sure.
I had that fear of judgment. But people really didn't judge me. Like they didn't, well, most people really didn't care. They're like, "Oh, you're an author. Okay, great, Tara," so but the people did resonate with it did resonate. And some people actually said reading your book is like seeing my own brain, my own thoughts, because they
Wow.
didn't think anyone else had those thoughts. So just getting that feedback from other people, it made writing the book worth it to me.
Mm. And you're already showing the bravery that you have from going from employee to employer. Now this bravery piece is that you're exposing yourself with the thought of helping others. But I would think it would have been um so I'm trying to think of the word, just healing for you to get it all out and then to be able to read it back to yourself. And that must be just an incredible process in healing.
Yes, it was definitely a huge part of my healing journey. And I used to say that was helping others heal while I healed myself. That was a tagline that I used to use. So it was definitely to, because I think that helping others helped me heal too. Because it's like I
Mhm.
took the attention off of myself, my own anxieties to begin helping others. So that was a part of my healing process. And then journaling and writing, it is therapy. I did used to see a therapist. I've seen multiple therapists, but it wasn't until I began this journey and had a purpose that I really started to have use for what they were sharing with me. Even with, like, I would dabble with meditation here and there, but now I meditate consistently daily because it helps me. And not only does it help me with my personal development, it helps me with
Mhm.
my business and my mindset. So I believe I needed a purpose to begin meditating and to take consistent action with my mindset. So I feel like I'm in a good place now because of what I'm building with Tarafied Publishing.
And I think that everybody can resonate with the fact that needing a purpose is that driving force for us to be happy and content, but willing to stick to itiveness that we need for whatever project we're working on. If there's no purpose to the project or there's no inner feeling of purpose, it makes it why bother.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I think that's where I was for years with the anxieties, like why bother? And I didn't see my self-worth. I feel I have a
Mhm.
lot more worth now and a lot more value. Even though I had it back then, it was just buried up underneath all the anxiety I
Mhm.
had. So
Yeah.
the ambitious person has always been there. I've always been ambitious, always been determined, but it was just covered by all the anxieties that were forefront. But now it's the opposite. I'd still have my days where sometimes I second guess myself, but it's not as what it used to be.
Mhm. And you mentioned that you had some challenges as you're putting your book out. And can you describe a little bit about the challenges that you had?
So a lot of the challenges that I had were the thoughts mentally being receptive by family and friends, if they would even care. But it turned out that they were receptive. No one really judged me. So and also other challenges I've had is I took a course for self-publishing, but when you are self-publishing for the first time, there's mistakes that you're going to make, of course.
Mhm.
I didn't really think out my audience. When I wrote my book, Panic to Picnic, when I wrote it, I just wanted to share my story. It was like a vanity for me, but I didn't have the people in mind that I wanted to read the book and the transformation. I wanted the anxiety action takers, but I was getting people who were stuck and they
Mm.
they read it, but they didn't want to take the transformation part. So they were on the panic, but they didn't want to take the picnic. So so I had that as well. And also, I would say some challenges I had was with my first book, I published it and I was like, oh, readers will come. And I just thought, oh, Tara Hayes published her book, and my ego was telling
They
me
will
that.
find you.
But that was not the truth, you know. So I had to begin building an audience. And also in the beginning of my journey, it was troubling for me to talk to people. So I said,
Mm.
I didn't really want to talk to anyone, and I just wanted to be an author, and that's it. But I learned that you have to talk to people. You have to build your audience. People have to know that you're there, right? So those were some of the challenges early on, getting out of my shell and actually talking to people, networking. Like I put off networking for about 3 years. I don't think I started networking
Networking is hard.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think that people realize how difficult networking is until they get into it. And especially if there's some uncertainty inside,
Mm-hmm.
and networking's changed quite a bit from pre-COVID to COVID till now, because pre-COVID is you're basically walking into a room and you know nobody and you have to introduce yourself, and that's overwhelming,
Mm-hmm.
like really awful. And
Right.
and then COVID comes around and networking is a bunch of screens and you can't really tell whether people are interested, and they just want to sell to you right at that moment versus learn about who is Tara and can I learn about you, and vice versa.
Right. And I'm the opposite. Like I don't like to be salesy. Like
Ugh.
I'm a heart-centered person, so I like to find
Mhm.
out about the person, share about myself, and then if it's a match, then we can see what's next. But my challenge with networking is definitely going to into a room and not knowing anyone, and then like I'm the one on my phone, you know, and I'm the one looking like I'm doing something on my phone. I'm probably just trying to look busy, so so nobody notices that I'm nervous, but it could still be a challenge. But the virtual networking has definitely gotten easier for me. I know that I started networking on Alignable, and I would go in the 7 rooms for 7 minutes, and it was nerve-wracking
Mhm.
at first because I didn't know what I was going to say, but I've learned how to carry conversations with people so it doesn't get awkward. So I've really developed my social, my just being able to speak with people, and even my own speaking, and even my own telling people what I do, that has been refined many times because before it wasn't clear. So I've done a lot of work. I've done a lot of inner work, done a lot of work communicating with people and sharing my message. I've done a lot of work.
It takes practice. It is that
Mm-hmm.
work, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
put the work in order to be accomplished in even in that area as well. And so now you have your book out and you were really pushed or led or decided to work into the self-publishing and help other people out. How does that transition happen? And
Right.
what
So
does that really even look like?
Right. So that transition happened, and I missed an opportunity early on in my journey. I had
Hmm.
published the book and then I shared it, and then someone that I was connected with, she said, "Hey, could you help me do that?" And I was like, "No, you have to take the same course I took, you know, because I had no idea that I could help someone." And early on in my journey, I did attempt to help someone else, but that didn't work out either. But I just realized that when the anxiety coaching didn't work out, because I was getting triggered honestly by the people I was working with. Some of them I was like, maybe I wasn't healed enough, and it was reminding me of when I wasn't healed enough. But another coach said, well, maybe you could have just worked through that with someone. But it was in the back of my mind of what the therapist said, oh, you're not qualified to do that, you know. So that was in the back of my mind, even though I did take a life coaching program.
Hmm.
um I I feel I needed the shift. I was like, okay, maybe I don't want to deal with everyone's anxiety. Maybe I'll just deal with their anxiety that comes with publishing. So, and that's
Hmm.
how this shift
You
happened.
combine both of your worlds in an
Hmm.
essence, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, because there is anxiety that comes along with becoming an author. There's a fear of judgment. There's, oh, I'm not writing enough, or my writing sucks. So there is a fear that comes along with that, and I felt like that was a fear that I was more prepared to deal with than
Mhm.
just sitting down talking about people's general anxieties, even though I have done it, and I
Mhm.
I was able to help a few people that way. I think combining the two worlds is where I can best serve.
I think that that's fantastic. And to be able to step back and really find out, you already said you were heart-centered, and that shows it too. You really did take that step back and say, what does my heart feel like I should be doing versus my own expectations of myself, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to step back and create a space for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
combining the two areas that you are very proficient in, is
Mm-hmm.
brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Really brilliant. And because that's not something that you would put together normally. You know, if you wouldn't think, well, there would be anxiety in publishing, and that's a space that you could really make a difference in. But when you say it out loud, it just makes common sense.
Right.
That that's
Yeah.
where
No.
you should be.
And I didn't even think of it that way before either. Like there is anxiety in publishing. It's like a lane that kind of just came about. And then I would see some other publishers too talking about the fear of
Mhm.
publishing or the fear of putting yourself out there. And I realized that is a lane. So it's great to merge the worlds. So
So what is self-publishing? How does that work? And then how are you helping other people accomplish that?
that's a great question. So self-publishing is basically you can get on your desired platform. So say you have a book and you want to get on Amazon, and there's a self-publishing platform called Ingram Spark. There's a platform called Draft to Digital. So basically it's different from traditional publishing. So you have more creative control, you have control of your title, you have control over who works on your project. But what traditional publishing is different. Like they basically do they pick your cover for you, they pick the artist, they pick they you basically have more creative control as a self-published author. And when you're self-publishing, you just have to make sure that you have all your pieces in place. And how I
Mhm.
help people with self-publishing is I help them develop their manuscript. So I review it, I do the editing of the manuscript, and then we do the formatting, help them get their cover,
Mhm.
and help them get up on Amazon. And I've helped someone get on Draft to Digital. Ingram Spark is a platform that I'm looking to learn soon. And then once that's all done, if they want to do like a landing page, a lot of authors don't think they need a website, but they do need a website. They do need their own platform and presence. So I can help them get that. And if they want to get a better chance of getting that boost on Amazon,
Mhm.
I have someone that I work with that helps me get them to Amazon bestseller. So that's all the things that I can help them with as a self-published author, and to make sure that their book looks professional. Like a lot of self-published authors get a bad name because people think, oh, I did it myself. But when you work with a company such as mine that helps you get the formatting, the editing, then you won't be able to tell the difference. Like your book will be professional, you know. So that's
Mhm.
what I work with the self-publishing.
It is quite a process
Mm-hmm.
in order to from start to finish. And when how does I don't even know how to answer this question. How does somebody what does somebody do if they say, I think I want to write a book?
Right. So what someone does when they said they think they read a book,
Mhm.
what they need to do is they need to first of all have their audience in mind. Like you want to write a book, but who's going to
Mm.
read the book? You need to think about that. Because that's something I didn't think about when I wrote my book. I just wanted to get it out there. But you need to have that in mind, because when people are reading your book, it's a what's in it for me. So they want to know what they're getting from the book. Is the book going to solve a problem? Is it going to entertain them, or is it going to inspire them? So when you're thinking about writing a book, you need to consider those things. And also think about the time commitment that it's going to take. Do you have the time commitment? Are you willing to put it in the time that it takes to write a book? Because writing a book is not just putting words on paper. It's a journey, it's an experience, it's a transformation. So you
Mm.
have to consider all those things. And if you don't want to do it alone, then you need to get someone else to help you. Someone like me, like I can do like a co-writing session. I'm not a ghostwriter, but I can do co-writing sessions to prompt people to get their thoughts out of their head. So they need to consider all those things, because a lot of people put writing off a book on the back burner because they think that it's something that they can put off. Like so many people want to write a book or have thought about it and they just don't do it because it's daunting or it's daunting to them. So if it feels like it's overwhelming or daunting, that's when you know you need to seek help if you want to write a book.
Oh, interesting. I love that you're this, when you are thinking about you as the reader
Mm-hmm.
and what's in it for the reader if they're
Mm-hmm.
going to make your book successful.
Mm-hmm.
And the three categories that you just listed, I think it was really interesting, because if you think of yourself as when you're reading a book, those are things you want to have, you want to accomplish. Maybe it solves a problem, or it's entertainment, or it's inspiring, but I
Right.
never thought about it on the front end.
Mm-hmm.
Before you start, you have, what's that saying? Before you start, you need to have the end in mind. And here we are. It's the
Exactly.
same thing for writing a book too.
It is, exactly.
Wow, that's interesting. And then so you can work with you as a co-writer or for support through the publishing process. So
Mm-hmm.
what is the publishing process? You touched on it a little bit, and then somebody they have their information, they put it together. You're going to help them develop a cover, which
Mm-hmm.
is also really important. There's that artistic piece for you too coming back into play.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. So the publishing process, so at first, of course, it starts with them writing the book. So they have to
Hmm.
have a book, or you're not going to have anything to publish. So it's writing the book, and then we do a review. So till we see what needs to be tweaked, what needs to be edited, like a developmental review of the book. And then once it passes the first draft, then we can begin. I would recommend also getting a second set of eyes on the book,
Hmm.
because the first editor probably isn't going to catch all the mistakes if there's any mistakes. So you want to make sure you give yourself a first round edit, then a second round edit. And then
Hmm.
once that's done, then we start working on the interior. Interior just means the formatting of the book. So right now we use uh I start off with a Google Doc template, and then we go into a program called Vellum to make it look pretty.
Hmm.
And then once we have that, after we do that, then we get them up. We get the cover
Hmm.
and make sure the cover is nice. And then also there's two different, you decide on what formats you want to. You can do ebook, you can do a paperback, you can do hardcover. I focus on ebook and paperback, and
Hmm.
then the client that I'm working with now requested a hardcover, so that's something that I'm going to help him with too. So hardcover, and then also you got to make sure that you do the back cover. Like when you do like the spine text, the back cover. Like when I did my first book, I didn't even realize spine text. I was like, oh, I forgot to do that, you know. So you learn so many things, you know. So, and then also when you're on Amazon, they
Hmm.
you have to have an ISBN number. So um I can't think of what it stands for, but it's just the barcode on the back of the book. So that
Hmm.
identifies the book. So Amazon, you can get a free ISBN on Amazon, but I did that for my first book, but I wish I didn't. See, that's one thing I didn't know. So what
Hmm.
I recommend now is you go through a platform called Bowker and you purchase your ISBN, and this way your book is becomes available outside of Amazon. So you can
Oh,
go
right.
on bookstores, you can go on libraries by
Hmm.
purchasing your own ISBN. So that's part of the publishing process. We put the copyright inside the book. We make sure with the table of contents inside the book, and then after we get on Amazon, you pick your keywords, and you pick whatever format you want. If it's ebook, and if it's ebook paperback, and then you hit publish, and then you have your friends and family come and purchase your book. And then after that, if they want to do the Amazon bestseller campaign, then we offer that to them too, so they can get the the audience that wouldn't see their book without the boost. So that's something that
Oh, so that's what that is. That
Mhm.
that it tells Amazon, or you're paying for Amazon to boost your book out there so more people will see it.
Exactly. And that's we do that for ebooks only.
Oh, okay. Why is that? Or is that
That's
only
just,
offered for ebooks?
yeah, it's just the program. That's it. It's only
Hmm.
offered for the ebook. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Okay. And so it is possible for somebody to publish an ebook only,
Yeah, it is possible. Because that's what I did.
or
Yeah, they,
multiple formats.
yep, they can publish multiple formats. They can publish ebook only. They can publish paperback only. Like for my first book, I only published ebook, and I said, well, there's people that might want a physical copy. So then
Hmm.
I started doing physical copies. So it just depends on the reader, what they want. So.
Okay. That's really so interesting. I've always wondered about that. And I have a couple of friends that have published their own books. And I'm not a writer.
Hmm.
let's just be honest here. I have challenges. I have challenges getting what's in my head onto paper.
Hmm.
And I found that I was hiking, and I had to put some things together for Fred. I'm like, every time I sit down to do it, nothing comes out. But then I said, well, wait a minute, if it's in my head, I can talk it, right? And so
Hmm.
I grabbed my phone and I recorded what I thought I wanted to say. So then I could transcribe it. I didn't transcribe it. The recorder transcribed it, and I copied and pasted it. And I only had to make a few changes, but that actually only happened a couple of weeks ago. So I was really amazed that there was a way to become a writer if I could speak it, and it makes way more sense than trying to put words on paper right
Right.
away.
And that is an option for, because I hear that a lot too. I hear, oh, I'm not a writer. I do hear it, but that is an option to like speak, and then
Hmm.
it gets captures your words, and then you can transcribe it. And there's actually an author that's working on her book right now, and she tells me, oh, I got this done, Tara. I transcribed, Tara. I dictated and then got some of my book done, and it just dropped into her notes. So and then she likes to do it when she's in her car or whenever she thinks
Hmm.
about it. So yeah, there are options for people who aren't writers just to speak.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So,
Yeah.
oh, look, I feel good about that right now. um, so as you're working through everything that you've done, the self-help piece that you've done for yourself, I think that's just, um, I wanted to go back to it because it's so important. If you look back on yourself before till now, you must see so many great changes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do see a lot in myself. And then my sister says it too, because I have a twin, and she's like,
Hmm.
I've seen you from, your lowest moments to now being this professional businesswoman growing my business. So I see that I'm able to communicate better with people. I see that I'm able to articulate more. I also see that I'm able to stick with things more. Like I mentioned, I was dabbling with meditation, but now it's like a consistent thing for me. And I'm hosting workshops now, and I'm getting into speaking engagements, things I didn't think were possible before, things I avoided before. Like when I went to college, I avoided public speaking because I was like, I'm not doing that. I'll never need to public speak. So it's just it's a transformation.
Hmm.
And other coaches that I work with in a manifestation group, when I go to the groups now, she's like, oh, I see this shift. I see this change in you. I see even your attitude, like your demeanor, everything's changing. And it's because of the work that I've done on myself and the continued work that I'm going to keep doing. But it's been a journey, and I'm still growing, and I feel I've made a lot of positive changes.
That's amazing. Well, here we are here today, and you're so clear in your communication and your message, and it's so inspiring because you're not only are you telling people how to work through situations, you're actually showing people what that looks like. And I think that demonstration is so important. And it's such a great message.
Thank you.
Now, when people would like to work with you or think, well, I don't know whether I should, or I'm not quite ready, what does that look like? When should people go, oh, I think I should call Tara now?
So people should call me when they realize that they're tired of sitting on their book idea and they know that they need to get it out into the world, and they need a change, and they don't want to wait on their idea. For example, I don't know if you've read the Eat, Pray, Love book. So the author, she was feeling uninspired. She started writing her book and she was feeling uninspired, and she was writing about the Amazon jungle, I believe. And then she spoke with another author, and that author had the same idea. So she was thinking that because she didn't take action on it, it was transferred on to someone else. So either your idea is going to die, or either someone else is going to pick it up. So I would say, if you don't want your idea to be transferred or died, then it's time to then it's time to call me. And also when you're committed. So I'm looking for people who have the confidence, who they believe in myself. I mean, who they believe in me, that I'm the one that can help them. They have the clarity, and then they have the commitment. So when they're ready, so I don't need the people that say, oh, I want to write a book, but then when I get you to take the steps, then you're not ready. So those aren't my people. My people are the ones that are clear and they're committed and they know what it takes and they're ready to put their head down and get their book complete.
That's fantastic. And so how do people find you when they are ready and clear and concise?
So I'm on LinkedIn, and my LinkedIn is Tara, Tara Martina, and last name Hayes, Hayes. So they can find me on LinkedIn. And also my website is Tarafied Publishing. So that's Tarafied publishing.com. And I do Zoom calls, so they can find my Calendly, my Calendly link to book with me on my website, or they can also find it on LinkedIn. I'm also on Alignable too, but I spend most of my time on LinkedIn.
That's great. Well, Tara, no, this has been such a great conversation, and thank you so much for sharing. And I know that this has to be an inspiration for so many people. And I loved hearing how you have transformed yourself, and now you're in the position to help others. So
Thank you
thank
so
you so
much.
much for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for listening today. Today's show was sponsored by Seaside Solutions, my financial services company. As a business owner, it's easy to be pulled in many different directions, and often taking care of yourself plummets to the bottom of the list. For me, I find myself outside to reground. My time outdoors helps me manage my day more effectively and be more present for my clients. Through this, Discover Rising Tides was born. At Seaside Solutions, we truly believe that education is the foundation of financial wellness. Our primary focus is to provide guidance that is designed to help you achieve your long-term financial goals and visions. Working with a plan allows space for doing more things that you love, like being outside to make the inside better. If I can help you create or realign your plan, or if you would like to be added to my weekly newsletter, please let me know. This week's topic was 5 ways to set more achievable goals. Your referral means the big, beautiful world to me, and if I can help, please let me know. And thank you so much for listening, and see you next time.